right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Inside BBI with John and Eric. I'm John McDevitt, and with me, of course, senior editor of Big Blue Interactive, Mr. Eric Kennedy. And Eric, we are at threat level midnight. If you watch The Office, you know what I'm talking about. We're threat level midnight. Giants were the day before Giants Cowboys. God, if this season really if it turned with the Browns game, this is the game that will prove that, or we just had a little false hope, as you had mentioned before. But first, welcome back to the show, and man, here we are.
Yep, let's go. Cowboys week, so short week.
All right, so what are you drinking tonight? What do you got?
I've got the Perlenbacher from Germany. It's a Pilsner, and it comes in a really big can. Like you can see that. So I've got that. So
Nice, and I'm gonna foam all over the place. So I am trying something new, something I haven't had before. It is Indigo Reef Brewing Company. And when I say haven't had it before, I mean literally this is the first taste. Wake Up Call Coffee Blonde Ale. I'm not sure about the coffee part mixed in, but we're about to find out. So
as long as you don't spit up all over the screen, everyone will be
yeah,
okay.
right. I mean, we'll be fine. I'll tell you what,
crap?
It definitely has it's got a bit of a coffee aftertaste. It's going to take me a little bit getting used to it. But here we go.
Keep coffee out of the beer.
Yeah. Well, I tried to change it up because they asked us, and when I had the same beer like 4 times in a row, I was kind of like, man, that's lame. So I tried a couple of different things. I got a different one for Mark Collins later when we have our episode with Mark Collins. So we'll get to that. Hopefully, I won't be hammered by the time we get there. So here we are, Giants Cowboys. Let's do a quick little look-see with the Giants, starting with we're coming off the Browns game. Looked better. We have some concerns, which we'll talk about injury-wise, the specific injuries. But your thoughts coming in, not only the importance of this game, but just kind of your feeling of the Giants right now. Where does the dust settle so far with the Giants?
Well, that's a million-dollar question. We don't know because was the Browns game just a blip on the radar or is it the beginning of something different? We don't know. So both sides of the ball. So we talked about the defense before. The defense was terrible the first 2 games. It was fantastic against the Browns. Why? We don't know. It could be the opposition. It could be they're starting to play better under the new coach. It could be the players are playing better. This is going to be a really good test for them because of the passing game of the Cowboys, which is, Dak Prescott's giving the Giants fits. I think I said today he's 12-2 against the Giants, which is absurd. CeeDee Lamb ripped the Giants the last time they played in November for 151 yards. So we'll get a better indication of the defense, though we have some missing pieces. We have to keep that in mind. And then does Daniel keep playing at an acceptable level and getting better and maybe start hitting some of those deep passes? We'll have to see. We'll get into this, but you look at the Cowboys' first 3 games and you see their run defense, and that tells you kind of what you should do. Some people would say, no, that's what they'll expect, but they're dead last. They're awful. I mean, it's not just one game. So now that may change too, because they have a new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, and that may be the same thing that they're catching up to that. But I would test them. I would run.
Well, I think, I used to be a big mindset of even if a team has a weakness, if it's not your strength, you don't try to attack it. You stick to your strength, or you're weakening yourself. The fact of the matter is, though, there is a strength of the Giants that we saw, and we've seen it lately be used a lot more, and that's the play action game. The only way to play action game is going to work, however, is if you do show that you are going to attempt to run in the middle, or those play actions mean nothing. So we're going to have to send Singletary into the line. You're going to have to send Tracy into the line a little bit. We're going to have to show them, because the more Dallas tries, and on their side, what do they know? They know that they've been very weak at that spot. They're going to try to fortify it because they're, just like you said, are going to expect the Giants to take advantage of it. So we do have to try early and then take your shots off from that. But I worry that we get too obvious with what we're trying to do. We go big and then we run a play that either says we went with the big lineup, or that we were trying to trick you. We went big and now we're throwing, but we only have one real option to throw to.
Or they could spread them out and try to run the ball. That would cross them up too. Look,
I agree.
Well, the Commanders' defensive tackles are very good, and we ran at 6 yards a pop against the Commanders. the Cowboys defensive tackles are bad. And I like our interior, I like our entire offensive line, but I like our interior offensive line. If we start getting 5 yards a pop, I'll get a little irritated if they could go away from that. I
Right.
hear what you're saying with the play action, normal case scenario. I fully agree with you, but if a team is dead last against the run and they can't seem to stop it, I run the ball. I go 5 yards, 5 yards,
Sure.
maybe break it. That's I wouldn't start getting cute. That would be now the problem is what you said. Are you going to be banging your head into a wall? And if you do, so be it. But I don't think I would. And this does a number of things. First of all, you don't want Micah Parsons rushing Daniel 30 times a game, 35 times a game. You just don't want that. And I mean,
Right.
Andrew Thomas is Andrew Thomas, but he's had issues with Parsons too. And the other thing is you control the clock and you keep Dallas off the field that way too. So, and then the other thing is if you're still a little not 100% sure about Daniel, like most of us are, do you really want Daniel to put the game completely in Daniel's hands at this point? So I know I sound really conservative about this, but
No.
I like our running game. I like our offensive line. I think this is the first time in memory, maybe going back to, we interviewed Rich Soybert the other day, going back to Rich Soybert's days, that we probably have a better offensive line than Dallas does right now. Well, that it looks early that to be the case. Now
Sure.
Dallas has got a couple of rookies. They may develop and they may again surpass us again, but right now I would take our offensive line over Dallas's offensive line right now. And it's been years since we could say something like that. And I take our running backs over Dallas's running backs. So why are the Eagles and the Cowboys beating us so many times in recent years? Because they controlled the line of scrimmage. I'd like to reverse that a little bit here and pound the ball at them for a while.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, again, the play action only works if you do run. Like, play action means
Yeah.
nothing if you don't run. So I'm okay even if you don't get 5 yards. If you get three, you still got to stick with it. The old Giants, and I know that's going back, they stuck with those things because you're attempting to set something up. It's the one thing I will say about Dable that's thrown me a little bit is that I don't always feel like each play is designed to kind of build on the previous. Lots of times it seems like kind of predetermined, if we're in this down and distance, we're going to go this way, versus I'm trying to build things to a point. And we'll see if they've learned anything. The Browns game, I thought the first half, it was a tale of halves. The first half, the offense played much better. The second half, and you've pointed out that it might not be as bad as it appeared because just a few things here or there kind of threw it off, but still it was clunky versus the
Mhm.
first half where they were rolling. So which of the two halves from the Browns game carries over to this game? That's a big deal. And I think too, the start, you can't have a start like you did in Cleveland just because the mental aspect of the boys is much different than it is playing the Browns.
Well, and the fans at home. You don't want the
Oh God.
fans. I mean, so it's going
Yeah.
to probably be a 50-50 crowd to start with. So you don't want your own fans jumping on your back, just like
Right.
the Cowboy fans are going to, so they don't want to start rough. But on the flip side, again, you saw what Dallas did last week. Ravens went way up and Dallas came back. So even if the Giants were fortunate to get way up, they can't play conservative. They've got to they got to keep it up
Right.
and not assume that Dallas can get back in the game. And the one thing that Dallas has a clear advantage over us, and I talked about this today in the game preview, is their kicking game. Their kicker
Yeah.
is amazing, and we got a kicker whose lone field goal attempt wasn't even close last
Right.
week, and
Right.
that's kind of scary in a division game that usually those things are close, and hopefully this will be. Well, I hope it's a Giants blowout, but if it's close, that makes me nervous having the difference in kicker. Their kicker can hit. It's like he hit a 65-yarder already this year, and it looked easy for him. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where Dallas gets these kickers, but it seems like every year they have kickers that are like this, and I don't know what they have in the water down there, but their kickers always seem to be really good.
It's kind of funny. They prioritize having a good kicker, finding a good kicker, and they find them. They're
Right.
undrafted or whatever, and yet they're a high-powered offense. Have been a high-powered offense. They score points right now. the Giants are one of the lowest scoring offenses again currently in the NFL. Obviously, week 1 worked against us, but there are only, I believe, 3 teams that have less points than the Giants have. I believe they're all in the AFC. That's not good. We can't. We have to put points on the board. To your point about the Ravens game, that game should have been a blowout. The Ravens should have. They were up. They gave up a weird onside kick, and that kind of let the Dallas score even more. But they kind of pulled back. They took their foot off. It looked like it was going to be kind of a walkthrough, so they kind of took a step back. And I think if the Giants in this case, you have to take all the things that have happened to you over the years versus the Cowboys and funnel it into this game. If you take a 13-point lead, 14-point lead, even third quarter, you don't take your foot off the gas pedal.
You can't, not against
You
this team.
keep
No.
going.
And the other thing too, and I hate to be that guy, but how many times have we seen the Cowboys play in a big stage and the referees start putting their thumb on the scale? I mean, it seems like, I mean, it happened against the Ravens too. So it seems like, again, it sounds like, oh God, conspiracy theory, but it seems like the league does have an interest in at times in helping the Cowboys stay in things. So you just want to create separation as much as you can, just in case there's something. And again, our secondary is going to be a bit of a mess going into this game, and no lead's going to be safe because of that. Not
And
against, not against those wide receivers.
that's a good point to the referee piece that you just made, tying it to the secondary and the Cowboys receivers. What's the impression? What's the overall expectation? The Cowboys have weapons. They have Lamb. They have Cooks. They have Ferguson, the tight end. They have weapons. They are a good passing offense. The Giants' defense's reputation currently is our secondary is our weak spot.
Right.
If there are close plays, contested balls, the chances of it being a pass interference call of us against Dallas is going to be higher based on reputation,
Right.
whereas the opposite will probably be true the other way. Dallas's secondary, Diggs is known as being a very good corner. He might get away with some stuff that our guys are not going to. That's something you have to consider. So you're 100% right. It might not even be a referee, oh, we want the Cowboys per se, as much as reputation
Right.
brings the flag.
And that comes into play. We've seen it. We've seen it in all sports. It happens,
Yes.
so it happens all the time.
And when you're a losing team, you don't get those calls. And
No,
we have not been a winning team.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. So let's take a look at injuries of note. And you just started to bring it up. And let's start on the Giants side, obviously, with the secondary. We have both Phillips and Jackson are not going to play. That Jackson is less of a big deal to me than the Phillips one. The Phillips one, because that not only affects the outside, it affects the slot. So, but we do get Nick McLeod back. So your thoughts on the injuries for the Giants?
I'm just curious how this is all going to play out. Obviously, I think it would be better if we had Drew Phillips in there because he plays the corner spot so physically. So now I've seen beat reporters believe that Nick McLeod's going to transition there. I could see that, but Flot's played that position before. So I don't even know what their lineup is going to be. I mean, Trey Hawkins is probably going to be active this week. They activated or elevated Art Green, who none of us knows much about, and I would assume they may elevate him again. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see who even starts out there. I wouldn't be shocked if the beat reporters are tweeting out before the game that the first team lineup has Trey Hawkins starting.
Right.
And he played against Dallas as a rookie in the opener, and it wasn't good. So there's the bad memories there too. So if I had to guess, and I think the same thing the reporters are suggesting, it's going to be Flott and McLeod. But McLeod's coming off a knee injury, and they haven't practiced all week. They've given out these injury projections, and they expect him to play, but we don't really know if he can hold up. I don't think he practiced. I don't think he practiced last week. So, and he didn't practice this week, and they're going to throw him out there. That seems a little rolling the dice to me. So it wouldn't shock me if he plays and then he's out of the lineup right away too. So
there was some speculation. I would love to give credit to who said it, but I can't remember online. I believe do we have Duke Shelley on the practice squad right now, who I think that's his name. There was some thoughts that he's had experience in the slot and that
that would be a wild card there.
That he might be the guy to come up instead of Green. because of his experience in the slot. They thought maybe he might be an activation just so that we could have another slot. So the question became, does McLeod go outside and Flott move to the slot? I'm getting a weird Giants Packers 22 vibe when we were mismatching that secondary in that game. And I think
Right.
you're going to have to kind of do that again. Quite frankly, the answer to your secondary problem is to get after the quarterback. So we are healthy as we can be up front, which is good. And we're going to have to be there. Other injuries, though, we have Slayton
Slayton.
questionable. I don't know if it's as big of a deal if he suddenly isn't playing. I think that it's important, but I mean, quite frankly, the guy who can pull the top off the defense, if we really ever want to use him, is got to be Hyatt. And at some point, you're either going to use him or he just needs to just not even be bothered being active if you're not going to. So this might be the coming out party for Hyatt based on injuries. But if Slayton is limited a little bit, I would expect that we're going to see a lot more of Hyatt.
Yeah, the only thing that makes you nervous about Slayton is, it's not his wheels, so he can run, he's fine, but it's his thumb. So if he's got like a busted thumb, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a sprain or what he has, but
Right.
that's his hands. I mean, so
And that's not his strong
hands
point.
are kind of important to a wide receiver. So, like you, I thought if it's even questionable whether he's going to be effective or not, get Hyatt in there. Now I've seen others mention maybe elevate Isaiah Hodgins, but I don't think they go that route. I mean, they could. It wouldn't shock me if they went that route. If they do that and they pass over Hyatt, then Hyatt's kind of really is in the doghouse about something, if you ask me. But this is where if you're going to play Hyatt, it's because we thought somebody's going to have to get hurt or he's going to have to surpass somebody, and well, Slayton's hurt, so this is his chance. And the corner spot, we're talking about our corner spot. Dallas's corner spot opposite of Diggs is not good. Their rookie who was starting was kind of struggling, and he's not playing now. He's doubtful. So Dallas is back up to their rookie is going to play, and that you would assume that's going to be against Slayton or Hyatt. So I would, that's where I would go when I'm throwing the ball. You got
Right.
to figure that Diggs is going to follow Neighbors, I would think, and that would be interesting too. If Neighbors can do something against Diggs, that's something for a rookie in his fourth game to do something against Diggs. That would be impressive, but we'll have to see how that plays. There's some really good matchups in this game. You got Diggs against Neighbors. You got Parsons against Thomas. You've got Dexter Lawrence against the middle of that line on Dallas. So there's some really, really interesting matchups in this game. And there's some matchups this time that favor us and some matchups that, like I mentioned, the kicker thing, that situation is a little scary. And then the cornerback situation for us is scary. So and then we haven't even talked about, Daniel's got to play at a level. He's got to approach a level that Dak plays at in this game for the Giants.
Right.
You can't have Daniel throw 2 interceptions in this game, or they're going to lose. They're going to lose the football game. So Daniel's got to play well, and the Giants have to start making Dak not look great. We make Dak look great all the time. I mean, Dak's one of those quarterbacks that he either looks great or he doesn't. But every time we play him, he looks like an all-star.
Well, and one of the things too that we really need to the Giants need to focus on is in the past, we've always made whoever was the tight end for the Cowboys was the
Yeah,
star.
yeah,
Jason Witten
yeah,
ate up the
yeah.
middle of the field. Schultz. Now you've got Ferguson. If you're going to get pressure from the outside and you're going to play tough against their run, and we're trying to defend the receivers outside, the tight ends are going to be probably one-on-one with some folks, and we can't lose those battles. And we lost that a little bit in Washington, where I said Zach Ertz was on the downside,
Yeah.
yet he made a couple of plays, and unfortunately that extended those drives that could have changed the game if we had stopped them. So last week you had Akins was making a few catches here and there, and he's not exactly fleet of foot. So Ferguson is a matchup problem. we need to stay ahead of basically we need to keep Dallas behind the down and distance. We can't let them have 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. That's going to take the strength of our team right away, which is pass rush, which is our
Yeah,
outside
and
guys.
and Ferguson is his security blanket. So you
Yes,
don't want him extending drives, and then you get another shot to throw to CD Lamb. So you got to what it was the famous Bill Belichick thing. Take away the best two players on the other team and make them throw to the third player. I would I would try to take away CD Lamb and I would try to take away Ferguson and I would try to make Dallas go. Now the problem is Cooks is pretty darn good at times
sure.
and the other receiver can hurt you. But I would make them go to those other guys and I would focus my attention on the tight end and CD Lamb as much as you can, and that's how I'd approach this. If the Cowboys start running the ball, which they haven't on us, then that's going to be trouble. So
Yeah.
hopefully they don't start 5 yards pop against us because if they do, then it's going to be a long night.
So let's go with what do we expect? So not the prediction. That's at the end. What do we expect? I'll start with you first. What are you expecting in this game, or your gut feeling? What do you expect?
I keep going back and forth on this. I was really, really optimistic yesterday. I really was. And then today I'm a little more like when I was writing the game preview and I get like sometimes I talk myself out of this stuff because I was like, how are we going to cover these wide receivers? And I worried about the kicking game. If we had Gano kicking, I'd feel a lot better about our kicking situation. Um, it's at home. It's a short week. It's usually tougher for the road team. Dallas is not used to playing a road game on a Thursday. They usually have them at home, for Thanksgiving. Um, this has got upset written all over it if the Giants come to play. The problem is they see that star on the helmet and they start wilting. So
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I look at this and I say we're better on the lines finally than they are, or we're in the same neighborhood. And so at that point, you look at running game advantage Giants, passing game probably you have to still give it to them because of the quarterback. Then the special teams you come in there and you got to give Dallas the advantage there. And then on the defensive side, if you could tell me which Giants defense shows up I'll tell you who wins the game because I think our defense is much better than their defense, but our defense has only played really one good game so far. So if you tell
All right.
me our defense plays 80% of what they did against Cleveland, I think we win. But if they play like they did against Washington, which they may because they may be so afraid of the wide receivers that they play back, then the kicking game's trying to come into play. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so I have a kind of a different feeling. The closer we get to the game, the more I'm beginning to feel like it's going in the other direction. That it is our game to win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dallas beat Cleveland in game 1, and Cleveland played pretty poorly offensively, but Cleveland's defense kind of clamped down on Dallas quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
on their offense. Dallas was throttled at home by New Orleans. New Orleans barely put up points against Philadelphia. Philadelphia struggled to score on them as well. That was a close game, but Dallas got throttled by New Orleans. Dallas was being absolutely manhandled by
Manhandled.
Baltimore for
Yep.
the bulk of the game, and Baltimore was beaten by the Raiders the week before.
Yeah.
This is the Ravens are an unbelievably limited offensive team. Their passing game is going through a couple of players at best. Jackson is not having his best season throwing the ball. He ran a lot. Henry ran, and yet Dallas still couldn't stop him when it was obvious that's what they were trying to do was just run.
And Dak
I
hasn't looked great, and Dak has not looked great.
And this is the thing, the difference, the biggest problem that the Giants had against Washington is as we talked about, was they kept doing the bend don't break, and Jaden Daniels has turned out to be a very good quarterback already in that he takes what you give him. And
Hmm.
if you're going to give it to him, he's taking it. And he put the ball where it needed to be. And if they needed 5, they got 7. If they needed 3, they got 4. He just kept drives going, but the Giants never let him in the end zone. You saw what Washington did against Cincinnati. Minnesota's 3-0. Minnesota has played extremely well. We've played a tougher schedule to this point than Dallas has in terms of just the
Yeah, that's a
way
good point.
the
But
teams they played. The
yeah,
Giants should be getting better. We've got more cohesion coming on the offensive line. I think what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. We'll do Carly's picks, and then we will come back with that when we're done. But for now, let's send it to Carly with her hot picks for week 4.
These are the 5 picks I have for you. Texans over the Jags, Jets over the Broncos, 49ers over the Patriots, Cardinals over the Commanders, Giants over the Cowboys. Those are my week 4 picks. I'm Carly Ducote. Find me on Instagram at @thefitchick. That's _fit.chick. Back to you guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Carly, for that. Those are her top 5 picks for this weekend. Good luck for those of you. I know Eric's a big gambler. He loves it.
Yes,
So,
I am.
so anyway, we were talking about kind of what we expect. That's what we were kind of looking, and you were not entirely sure what you expect. You starting to go the other way a little
no,
bit.
I just don't. I don't know. And the thing is anyone who says that they know what's going to happen, they don't. So I want them to win. Obviously, I think they have a good opportunity to win here. I just worry about the secondary and I worry about the kicking game. If the kicker was okay and Andrew Phillips was playing at nickel, I would feel a lot better about this game. Now I'm a little bit nervous about. I mean, again, Dallas has owned us, so I don't know why any Giants fan would be terribly confident. But we've already outlined the Dallas is ripe for the picking right now. So whether we want to step up to the plate, we'll see. We'll see. It's a big game for the organization. It's a big game for the coaching staff. It's a big game for Brian Dable. It's a big game for the defense. It's a big game all around for everybody. And if they win and get to 2-2, and Dallas falls to 1-3, and we don't know I don't even know who the Eagles are playing, but whoever the Eagles are playing,
They're playing Tampa Bay, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, this thing could get all very interesting, or we could be sitting there going, "Well, Cleveland was just a blip," So it's a really, really big game.
So I'll go first on the prediction side. So what we'll do is we'll do a prediction, and then regardless of who you think will win, if the Giants were to win, then give me the guy that will be the difference maker if they were to win. So I'll go first. I think the Giants are going to win. I'm gonna go 32-21 Giants. I think,
32.
and I know. Yep, I know
32
exactly.
points. The Giants are going to score 32 points.
I know exactly what
in one game.
In one game, amazingly enough. Here's the thing: the Giants haven't had a quarterback, and I can't remember how far it goes back, who's thrown 2 touchdown passes and no interceptions in 3 consecutive games. Jones has 2 touchdown passes and no interceptions in 2 consecutive games. And I know for other quarterbacks, that's not a bell ringer, but for us, apparently it's a big deal. So
yay.
I think he's one of the things he's going to happen this week in this game is that we're actually going to see a lot more of Jones running than we have. And I don't mean power sweeps. I think he's going to take off running. When they send people deep, he's going to take off running. I think it needs to be there. It's going to have to be there. You got to get them so that they have to respect the possibility, so they don't just pin their ears back. The second that starts to happen, it's going to open some things up deep. Jalen Hyatt's going to have his first touchdown. It's going to be a long one. It will be plus 50 yards. It's going to be 32-21 Giants, and the difference maker of that game is going to be Malik Neighbors again. He will have 10 receptions in this game. He's going to have 10 receptions in this game.
Bold predictions. Okay. So what did I predict last week? A win or a loss?
You picked did you
Browns.
pick them losing? I can't remember.
Remember, because I said I was going to use the reverse jinx.
That's right. You did. You went with a loss.
All right. Yeah. So what do you think I'm going to do this week? The Giants
stick
are
with
what
works.
And I think they're going to lose 20-19 on a 65-yard field goal by the other team. That'll break our hearts. Again, I'm using the reverse jinx, people, so just keep that in mind. All right, if there's an MVP, my MVP is going to be Devin Singletary.
Very nice.
On the offensive side, I want to pick a defensive MVP too. Who on the top of my head? I'm going to say it's going to be Burns, because their left tackle he's a rookie. He's probably going to be good, but he's been shaky. And I think Burns could have a big game in this contest.
I'll go a different route. I don't know necessarily that he'll be the MVP, not necessarily have the most stats, but I think his play will make the difference for other players like Burns and Tibbs, and I think that's Micah McFadden. I think his ability to control the interior running game, not let guys get through and come and make long yardage, his ability to play the tight end when he is on the field is going to be paramount to the defense being able to succeed.
He's a frustrating player because his instincts are top notch, and he's in on a lot of tackles, but he just misses so many tackles. That's the one thing. The one thing I will caution with you with him too is he's got a bad back coming.
He does, and it's 2 weeks in a row I've seen him hurt it. So yeah, that's a bit of a concern.
Lot more hurt than they're letting on. So I think Deontay Johnson coming back next week is good. Is going to be good timing for us.
Right.
Hopefully Mike is not limping.
And Moose out should be back. He's not.
He actually played last week. Yeah. So when Micah got hurt, Muasau was in there. But we got a couple linebackers who might be coming back. Adams is also scheduled, I think, to come off the IR. So, but yeah, so tremendous opportunity here. I hope if we win, I think we're going to have a fun week, like mini bye week on BBI. If we lose, it's going to be more Daniel Jones, Dable out, complaining.
And later this week, regardless, win or lose, make sure you check out our podcast that will be coming up at the end of the week with Mark Collins. I think you are really going to enjoy that video. That interview was awesome, and looking forward to it. So,
and if you can, wait to the very end of that video interview with Mark Collins, because we have a fantastic discussion with him on a very humorous subject. But you got to wait till the end to see it, or fast forward to the end if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But watch the end of that because it's funny.
So with that, I think we're gonna call it a close. It's been a busy night for us. You don't know it, but it has been a busy night for us. So we like, subscribe, please. Comment. Look forward to it. Our subscribers keep growing. Really appreciate it. People that follow us on X, which I've tried to post on X pretty regularly, has been growing like crazy. Other Giants organizations have been Giants sites have been following us as well lately, so I've been psyched about that. So Eric, it's been great. Look forward to getting back. Hopefully when we do next week's shows, we've got to win.
The Cowboys,
please, for the love of God.
All
right, folks, we appreciate it, and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again.